I decided to clean this out a little bit. Got some dirt in there from years. Got some grease over in there. Clean that out. That's the gearbox. Um, Started to clean this off here. It's kind of greasy. And back in there, got a power washer, so I think I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to have to fix that up, or sand it, and get rid of some of that rust anyhow. And there's the 163 right there, if you can see it. That was also a number written on the radiator support. Yep. That's the gearbox just sitting there, waiting for everything else. I've pressure washed it. I haven't dried it off yet though, because I'm going to get some TSP and get any residual dirt off of there. Looks pretty good though. And then I'm going to get some Rust-Oleum. That's the cheapest way. Get the self-etching primer, put that on there, get the glossy black Rust-Oleum, and see, it got all that dirt with the scraping with the 5-in-1 and with the power washer. And also I'm going to clean in there. I didn't. I'm going to remove that bracket and get in there. I was just, when I painted this, the engine was still in. So I'm going to do that next and do some work up in there and get that all cleaned up too. So I've cleaned the frame before I sanded it with vinegar and water, a 2-to-1 solution, or 4-to-1, depending on what I had, 3-to-1 maybe. So you see it still needs a lot of sanding. This looked pretty good down in here. There wasn't a lot of rust, which was nice. Wasn't much paint, but the grease and oil really protected the metal. Same over there. There was some paint, but the grease protected it. So grease is good. Yeah, it's going to be. This is the fuel line coming in here, coming over underneath here. Hooks up to the fuel pump right there. So I've cleaned up around the brake cylinder with the wire brush. It's still in need of a lot of work. I'm expecting rain, so I'm trying to get a lot done. Wire brushed coming down to the steering pump. Wire brushed up steering pump and cleaned it with some paint thinner first. Cleaned up the knuckle there. Cleaned up the tie rods. I got the cross member cleaned up, ready to go. Let's see here. This is all ready to go here. Almost. I've got to get some vinegar and water on this. Found some rust up on the fender well there. I couldn't get to it when I did the rest of it. And I think I'm just about ready to, well, I have to hit that with some vinegar and water and really trying to beat the rain. I decided to clean up the steering column and the master cylinder area and the brake line coming down. It was pretty rusty. And so I decided to clean up in there also. Get the brake lines there and the fuel line. And this is looking pretty good in here. It's the brake line to the right side of the vehicle, front wheel. Goes under there. And this is cleaned up pretty well. That's cleaned up pretty well there. Started to hit the fender well there. I got the steering pump all cleaned up. Just about ready to go. That is, I'm thinking of getting this in here before I put everything back together, and I think I will, because that's pretty rusted out and I don't want it to get worse. And I'm going to try to preserve that 163 right there also. Here's the number 163 again. You can see the 3 right up in there. It does that. The 6 is right in there. And there's the 1 right over there. There's the 1. So 163, whatever that means. It's looking good. It looked like this before. Actually, more like that right there. And I cleaned it with TSP, which helped get some of the dirt off, but it didn't really get the deep down stuff, which the vinegar and water really has. But the red Scotch-Brite, then rinse it, and then blow it off with the compressed air. Well, not compressed air, but the air compressor. So next I'm going to clean in here, and I'm not going to need to paint that. Use the vinegar and water on that. Use the vinegar and water on this section here. And then you can see where it's dripped down there. Vinegar and water, I'll just hit that again where it's dripped. And take care of that with the vinegar and water, and then boy, it's ready to paint. It's a beautiful day, 75 degrees in November. See that rust back in there? Well, I don't want to take off the brakes and have to do the brake cylinder, have to do the brakes. I'm just going to try to sand that. And I've got my stick here, and it seems to be working well. That's some 40 grit sandpaper from a DA with some adhesive backing on it, some duct tape on my stick, and I just put it back in there, and I'm able to sand. Good enough anyhow. Same over here. You can see it's getting the rust off back there, and that's all I need to do. Hit that a little bit more. Right back in here. And hit it with some vinegar and water, and I'm good. That's looking pretty good. I still have to hit it. You can see I didn't quite rinse it well enough right in there. But it's looking pretty good. And I'm getting ready to paint here, or at least prime it. So, there we go. Oh, and over here, it cleaned up nicely. I decided to leave the 163 that I found earlier from the manufacturer. You can see the 1, or the 3. There's the 6 there. I started to scrub it off, and I changed my mind. There's the 1 right over there, to the right of the stick there. That's the 163 that I'm saving over here also, the 163. And it was on the back of the radiator support, behind the right headlight. I hit the tie rods with my leftover black self-etching primer that I had from something. And I hit the steering pump with the leftover self-etching gray primer that I have. So I'm going to let that sit an hour. Then I'm going to prime the rest of it here. And that really cleaned up nicely in there. I'm really happy with that. Really pleased. So this all will be with regular automobile primer, Rust-Oleum. But it's cleaned up nicely. So I will, that's just a placeholder, that's the old distributor. I'll be putting in a new one to start putting on the dressing.